Hey everybody, welcome into the Beehive. I'm your host, TheBee LLC, and this is where we stack precious metals like it's pollen and nectar. Our pollen is silver and our nectar is gold, preserving our wealth as honey of old. Like ancient metals, we hold our own. Welcome in, Chew. Good to see you, B. Taylor. Thanks for being here. Space Miner and 888 the Great. We will be being joined by Ian Everard, ARK S.G.O. here in a minute, I believe, hopefully. And have a chat with him. What is good with you guys? I'm going to come over here and share my screen while we're waiting a minute. And take a look at some prices here. All right, we've got silver at $32.54. We are down 0.49% on the week. On the day, we are down 1.9%. And gold is today down 0.30. So we're getting a little hit there. What are we doing on platinum? $982. Palladium $971. And now last but not least, let's look at osmium and crystalline osmium. And we are up at about $2,000. 212.05. So those are our prices coming in. Let me check, make sure I got Ian the link here. All right. Well, while we wait, then I'm going to get into something else that I want to talk about. Some nice poker chips here. Broke, Tiger, Space Miner, Tiger, and Gold Sniping Farmer, and Clear Lake Drive. And this is what I want to talk about. So this is my magnet slide that I made. And right now I just have poker chips on it, obviously. And I don't knock that down. I should pull it out just in case. And hey, oh, that guy, welcome in. So yeah, so this is my magnetic slide. And if it wasn't filled up with these magnets, you can use this quite well because it has dual lanes. So the nice handy thing about that is I have a little starter stick that fits down in there, and you can put both a coin on each side, and then remove your starter stick, and they should find the same speed resistance down the slide, and that should be able to tell you whether you have legit silver or not. You know, if you have one piece that you know is good, I don't know, their magnets are so strong. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get these poker chips off of here and actually show you. But if you know you have one good coin, like one good silver eagle, and you're wondering, well, is this new silver eagle I bought, is it legit or not? You can put the legit coin that you know on the one side and the new one you got that you're unsure of on the other side, and then put your starter stick in there. And when you remove your starter stick, they both should slide down at the same time, because it's let's see, I don't know, Space Miner in here, you can tell me dielectric or something like that. I think it's, or diamagnetic or something like that. Anyway, it's like partially magnetic, so it won't it won't stick like these magnets that I can barely get off. You know, these are and so I built this, and I put neodymium magnets in them, and there's, you know, the magnets are about a ½ inch, I think, or something, or maybe an inch wide. And, you know, you put a whole bunch of them down each side. So I have them on this side and on this side, and these are holding them down and in place. And then I just put this material over the magnets, and yeah, but you know, if you're not playing around and you don't put all your poker chips on there, you can just pull this out and put a couple coins on it, slide them down, and again, it should tell you whether or not you know, if your new piece that you're worried about is legit or not. So, oh yeah, and I should show you these as I'm taking them off too. So we've got SGT, we've got Happy Tiger, we've got 3D Woodworks, Liberty Bleed Silver, 365 Days of Silver, Space Miner, and PCI is next here, Pocket Change Inspector. That's a cool poker chip. And then we got Bottom Gun Bob, Death from Below. I don't know if Ian's gonna show up here. I might have to. Hey, Space Miner, can you text Ian and see if he's on his way, or let him know that I'm here? Clear Lake Drive. Boy, these are just amazingly strong magnetic pull on those poker chips. This one is Fence Center. So this is from Tiger Stacker, and he's making fun of me and Yankee Stacking for being sitting on the fence on his defiance of the wheel. He doesn't like me being a fence sitter. He wants me to join in. And Gold Sniping Farmer. This green tractor label is like the coolest label. I love that green tractor. That's so cool. And actually, the tractor's not even green. I heard he was saying he got in trouble for having a green tractor as his label, and so he had to get the green around the tractor, which it still seems like it's a green tractor, so that's funny enough. But anyway, okay, finally got all that off of there. So yeah, let me see. Let me grab a couple of coins that should be the same. Oh, now they got. Well, these are not in capsules, but oh well. They're all beat up, so they'll probably catch on the idea. My idea was on here before I used it for channel round poker chips, and so is for capsules. You put your coin in a capsule and slide it down. For example, let me get my stuff out of here. Hold on 1 second. I got cameras on me. Forget. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Here's Ian. Ian, welcome in. Good to see you.
I'm sorry I'm late. I got so caught up getting to the bank and getting invoices out and stuff.
Understandable. No worries. Yeah, well, I was just showing off my magnetic slide here.
Oh, cool.
So I made this back in the day, and it's the same as any old regular magnetic slide, except for I made mine dual. And that makes it a lot easier to judge whether or not so that as they slide down like that, they have a little bit of, what do you call it, diamagnetic or something like that, I think, Ian, is what silver is.
It just has some magnetic properties.
Yep. There's like a little bit of magnetism there, but not a lot. And so, but you can test them out, and you can see that they're sliding really close to the same, and that's the way it should be. If you get one that's fake, first of all, if it's a metal that sticks, an iron or something, it'll be like these poker chips that you can barely pull off of there. But otherwise, but it shouldn't, if it's a different metal, it's going to slide at a much different speed than the silver will. And so you can do this with both silver coins and gold coins. And the nice thing about having this double slide is because, like with a single slide, you put a coin on there and you kind of have to remember at what speed it's going to test it. Whereas with two of them, you can just watch them side by side and get a good idea whether it's legit silver or not. So, but yeah, now that I've had these poker chips on there, my fabric's kind of messed up because they're so strong to slide them off there. It's hard to do. But here's a couple silver eagles. Let me turn them the same way. Now, if one of these sticks on me, I'm going to be embarrassed. But now, see how those are just sliding at the same speed down there. That's what you're looking for. And of course, something like this, whack, it just sticks on there hard. Those are so. Yeah, I got magnets coming all the way down on this side and another set of magnets over here. So it's a bit expensive to buy that many magnets. And so this, this piece, I was gonna produce these and sell them to people, but I got to thinking, man, it's kind of pricey. and I haven't made another one, and I like to have one myself, so I haven't sold any yet. But the magnets themselves bring it up to like, I can't remember, I'll have to go back and look, but a couple $100 or something like that. So it is kind of pricey to have a dual, you know. So but to me, that's what makes it nice, is having two that you can really see how well those two slid down at the same time like that, you know. It really makes a difference for me. But anyway, sorry to be yakking away. I just got this out to show people who are, you know, worried about whether or not they have legit silver, and maybe they don't have a tester of sorts. This is one way you can do it. And another way is, I have this, it's just a big long stick with a swivel at the end, and you can, you know, set it down on the table and get it really close to the silver, and then pull it back and let it swing over it. And if it's diamagnetic, it'll kind of stick, it'll stop. It won't just keep swinging or grab the coin. But you'll notice, you just the same as the speed of the coin slide, you can just use this and, you know, hook it on something, get it right down close to the, you know, you got to get it like a 1/4 inch away or 1/8 of an inch away, and then swing it over it, and you'll see it just kind of stop instead of keep swinging. And whereas, you know, if it's a different metal, you'll get a whole different reaction. So those are a couple kind of easy ways just with these magnets. And what do you call the good magnets? I just said it a minute ago, but now I can't remember what they're called. But anyway, you get like the best magnets you can, and you know, there's a couple different methods you can use, but that's a kind of a cheap, easy way to get, you know, one cheap test that you can do that'll give you a good idea whether you're on the right track or not with real metal. But that's just one easy way. Of course, they make machines as well that, you know, scale up in price the higher and higher the further you go. But so anyway, that is a coin slide right there for anybody who is wondering about how those work. So Ian, how are you doing?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working late last night.
Cool. Yeah, it's draining you down up there, working you hard.
Yeah, lots of invoicing and shipping and talking on the phone and strategizing.
Yeah.
How
are you doing with shipping? Have you had much trouble with any packages or anything? Or
we haven't, but one of our wholesalers has down in the Texas area.
Oh, yeah, I've heard a few people complain about it. Luckily, I've shipped out like over 150 anyway packages, and I've had no issues.
Yeah,
as of yet. But you know, I should probably not say that. But yeah, so far I haven't had any problems either. But I've heard that it can be a problem. You know, dealing with what we're dealing in, that can get scary. So, Mr. and Mrs. West Texas Stacker, welcome in. Good to see you. 888 the Great, OTG, OC Stacker. Welcome in, guys. So, let's see. What do we got for you here today, Ian? Where do you want to? Do you have somewhere you want to start? You got something on your mind? You want
to? Oh my! I'm trying to pretend nothing's happening in the world. It's disturbing, isn't it? I mean, India and Pakistan are heading into a full-on war. And defending. Five planes have been shot down, I think, or at least, and
a few anyway. I know.
Yeah. Modern French fighter jet. I don't know if that was a Pakistani one or an Indian one. Wow, I'm surprised metals had a sort of a fairly calm and just pulled back a bit today.
Yeah, that might change tomorrow. Huh? Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I was surprised to see that. I'd heard a little bit that there might be some issues there, but yeah, it really kicked off today.
Yeah, the tariff issues on importing silver and gold coins still hasn't been resolved. Still some very differing opinions. So the largest wholesaler is not importing anything because they interpret it that silver coins are not bullion under the tariff rules.
Really?
So yeah, we could end up with very limited stock in the wholesale system, and there has been not much selling into this recent price rise like there was late last year. So there's much less
inventory.
Of the oh my gosh, what's the word? The secondary market. Yeah, the retail selling.
Let's touch on that a bit. In that, I don't know if a lot of people realize, but there's about X amount that is dedicated to retail.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if that gets sucked up, which is not that hard to do, then you're waiting on your mints, right, and getting new.
Oh yeah. I mean, one wholesaler, they had 60,000 silver maples. They sold the whole lot to a family office.
Wow.
That's 2 million. 60,000, so that's 120 monster boxes. Gone.
Wow. Yeah. And that's just the opening of the door to things that may come soon. I mean, it won't take nothing to swallow everything up.
No, it's only in the millions what is available retail month to month.
Wow.
It's not.
Wow.
It's not into the hundreds of millions. It's maybe 100, 120 million, and maybe a little bit more. But most of the businesses try to run as lean as they can. The accountants are always counting, loss of opportunity. They've got to keep their dollars turning. So they try to hold as close to just-in-time inventory as they can.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a scary thing. I know there's a few kind of probably more hardcore stacker type businesses that try to hold, all of the inventory they can.
Oh yeah, we do. We try to keep as minimum of dollars.
Yeah.
And we don't count that as loss of opportunity because I know one day soon it's going to move and move fast, and I don't want to be short,
right,
or settled in dollars.
Yeah, no, yeah, obviously.
If one of our wholesalers gets let down because the mint decides, do you know what, we'll keep it because it'll be worth twice as much tomorrow.
Right. Yeah,
we'll give you your dollars back.
And that's the other thing is I got on here is that like once, and I think we might be starting to get there where you're, when it really does start to hit home what's going on, the inflow into that secondary market will probably thin out, and the premiums will probably spike way up, and because it'll just be getting eaten up before it ever gets out to that. Well, I mean,
and it's been lean for so long. The wholesalers are desperate to put premiums up. They're not going to hold back, and I think a lot of the bigger retailers have been hurting with sales way below their normal. That's been shown out. Our insurer we use for shipping insures a lot of the bullion companies, and it's been a zero-sum game. So if one company seems to be shipping more, one is shipping less. It's been low, the amount of product shipped and insured.
Yeah, it just seems like it's with China buying it, with everybody is buying up, and then I just think once the big money in the U.S., we're kind of the late mover.
The retail is very, very late, and I can understand it. I mean, if you've been playing this on a more of a short-term emotion, if you've been, people expect to buy something and it's up 10% in a few weeks, and it's up another 10%, another 10%, and suddenly it's done a crypto-like gain.
Right.
I think a lot of people have that expectation. And silver, as yet, hasn't done that. It's done pretty well. I mean, 2.5 years ago, it was sub $22, bottomed out. Sorry, sub 18. So, a year and a half, it was sub 22. Now we're 32 and a half.
Yep.
We were 33 and a half yesterday.
Yep.
It's starting to move.
Yeah. And it's always late to the, like, it's
always late. Yeah.
It's always late. And then it, it makes up for it quickly.
It more than makes up for it. But, and I guess new people or people who've dabbled are fed up of hearing it. And I understand that.
Sure.
It's, people, you always think, the grass is greener in the other field. Oh my gosh, if I'd only put that in this or that in that. But that's not very useful way of thinking,
Yeah, it's amazing that I've always heard that gold runs and then silver shakes everybody out.
Yeah.
Everybody gets tired of it when even the stackers are shaken out. That's when boom. That's what I have been told from the get-go, that's the way it usually goes down. And that seems to be where we're heading now. And to me, there's no really question like if it can just stay low. It can't, because of all the money printing and all that. We're being manipulated down and held down. And when this just recovers back to even, inflationary rates, even if there's not a push from elsewhere, even though there's going to be a push from more pressure, we're already in a 5-year deficit. And so
and we're getting mixed information from the so-called experts. I mean, you've probably heard of the CPM group, Jeffrey Christian.
Yep.
I read one of his articles, and he reckons 90% of all the silver ever mined is still physically available. It's like when you read the Silver Institute or the British Royal Mint, and they reckon up to 90% of all the silver ever mined has been destroyed.
Yes.
Which is it?
Yeah.
That's a huge range. So even if you let's put your finger in the middle, say half of all the silver ever mined is now unavailable because it's used in tiny quantities and being disposed, thrown away.
Yeah.
That means in that period, gold has just grown in the amount of available gold, because over 95% is definitely looked after.
Yep.
See, that alone doesn't add up. If 95% of the gold is being kept, when throughout the majority of human history, it's been perceived to be 10 to 15 times more valuable, there's no way there would have been a similar amount of looking after the silver when silver was the change. And gold hasn't had the low end industrial uses that silver has been developed for.
Right.
So to me, it's obvious it's being physically depleted. And then you add that to the mine ratio, we get different figures between 7 ounces of silver to 9 ounces of silver per ounce of gold mined. So you've got an available ratio before further industrial use of 4 or 5 to 1, 4.5 to 1. Take out the industrial portion, what is left for investment is probably 2.5 to 1 of fresh silver.
Yeah. It's funny because, like you're saying, we know all the gold above ground that's ever been mined, probably except for some, tombs probably still has some hidden, but I mean, a lot of it is above ground, trapped,
it's in refined form,
vaulted.
Yep.
Whereas silver, has always been used, and now is being used more than ever in industry.
Exactly, that's accelerated, and we're not getting an increase in silver production. Partly because the price has been so low right through between the 1980 and the 2011 high, and from the 2011 till it started moving, sort of 2017, 2018, that's suppressed any exploration for new silver deposits to open up silver mines. So, and if that exploration hasn't even been done yet, that means any deposits out there could be 20 years away from being put into production. So the gap is not going to get plugged. And, Chris Marcus did the great Silver Rush book, and Mike Maloney, the great Gold to Silver Rush, and a lot of people just aren't even bother to look or consider it.
Yeah. Well, another thing about silver is it's generally got along with copper or gold or lead or whatever. It's a byproduct that they get whilst they're actually mining a different product.
Yeah, zinc, copper, and lead predominantly. Yeah.
And the thing about that is, say that silver, they suddenly realize, wow, we're at a 5-year deficit, and we don't, it's all in the recycling dump, and wars using all. We gotta give me more silver. And they go to the miners, and the miners, they're like, well, we don't have a silver mine, and it doesn't do us any good. Like, there's no way to increase that amount quickly in the mining world.
Not
right
without
now.
I mean, one, it's a major it's a major amount of the production is from mining copper. Well, they're struggling to find the next big copper mine. I mean, no major copper mine, I think I'm right in saying, has been opened for 100 years.
Wow.
So they're struggling to find big deposits of the copper, zinc, and lead. So one, you're not likely to get a massive increase in that availability, and two, you'd need to have a market for your main product without crashing the price. Because if you crash the price, it wouldn't be worth your investment. You'll never get back your capital investment in opening up a new mine. So yes, it's a perfect trap, because with an economic slowdown, 6 months to 18 months, you get mines put on mothballed, production halted, mines put on maintenance, and you lose, I think it's about 78% of silver comes as a byproduct.
Yeah, exactly. So that increases the tension and the only thing that I have is that I'm not sure of is the stockpiles, and I'm trying to get somebody on that might know some things about that, but it's like you're saying, it's nothing like gold where everything is held above. We know so much is destroyed and right now being used up in industry. So
yeah, shall we talk to Broke Stacker's comment there about exposing the paper silver market? That's often, I think it's very simple. I think it's just time is going to expose it, whether there's as Longlid mentioned just a minute ago. Where am I going? The deficit, 5th year of deficit. Sooner or later, people are going to look at that and think, okay, demand increasing, supply constant or falling, reserves falling. What's the price action going to be? And we're in that, probably in that sort of almost fourth turning, definitely a 40-50 year event of capital rotation, where what has worked for decades isn't working.
Yeah, exactly.
People will go to gold first, and so even if it's just gold keeps leading. I mean, even if the ratio stays at 100,
right,
105 to 1, and gold goes up 3 times, silver's gonna go up 3 times.
There. Yep.
So I think really it highly likely will be the people actually behind the paper silver market manipulation, because they've got the information that we haven't. They've got the connections. They could simultaneously switch and go long.
Yep.
If they think, you know what, this is going to come to an end, let's make one last huge gain out of it. We had decades of making a fortune, smashing it up and down, and buying low, selling high, and repeating.
Yep. And I think that
if they realize, I've come to the conclusion it will run, and it will be, whether it's a 5x or a 10x or a 15x, I don't mind. I'll take either one of those.
Yeah, and I think they are going to want. I think they want to hold it as low as they can for as long as they can, and then when they let it go, I think they want it to jump as fast as they can. That way, you're locking all those people out.
You lock out retail, because retail will be too scared to buy because it's rising too fast, and they'll always think it will be cheaper next week or next month, or it'll pull back.
Yep. And this is, like you're saying, a hundreds of years event, if not thousands of years culmination right now. In my opinion, this is like one of the biggest things to happen.
I think this is a culmination in all of human history, because throughout all human history and the history of fiat currencies, the whole world has never gone fiat all at once. It's always been the minority or a small group of countries, or a small percentage of GDP, if you add up the production of each country. But now it's practically I don't think there is any nation that has a sound money. I mean,
Right.
El Salvador tried it, thinking Bitcoin was sound money. That didn't work out very well for them. Now they're having to open up concentration camps and get us to fund them by sending clientele. I think the speed of the collapse could be catastrophically quick, because how the banking system is so interconnected around the world, so interdependent. All of the derivatives out there are completely hidden because they're just factored out. You know, if we win this and lose that, that counts as zero.
And with free money to bet on, the bets are just crazy.
Free, and the thought pattern. You know, they haven't got any moral hazard because they just perceive they'll be bailed out.
Right.
So the recklessness just increases. When you look at what some of the hedge funds do, the leverage, 200, 500,000 times leverage to make a penny on $1,000, but just keep doing it every millisecond.
Wow.
Yeah, the leverage plays are just so huge.
Insane.
So there will be one, I think the manipulators will switch, and that will be more than enough to just let it run.
Right. Yep.
Two, if one retail person in America wakes up and buys $500 billion worth, that will be enough.
Right.
It's not a lot of ounces, you know, need to be taken out.
Well, we're already in a deficit overall.
We're in a deficit. We're already seeing managed money, you know, hedge funds, family offices rotating a little bit into precious metals. I mean, some have always been heavily into that. They're really clued up people. But the system is geared against precious metals. I've got a friend, he's a financial advisor. I won't say where, because so you have the SEC who enforce the rules, you know, and make sure, or supposed to make sure people are being fiduciary. But the SEC subcontract their work out to the very firms that they're supervising, or businesses that are connected. And so the people who are enforcing the rules about how you give advice and what advice you should give, the people who are enforcing those rules are the people whose companies benefit from not putting their investors into precious metals. So it is practically illegal for financial advisors to advise their clients, you need to put X amount into precious metals.
Wow. So
the whole system makes it illegal for advisors to advise, even if they know how to advise.
Yeah.
You know, it's
So I got a comment here that I want to address. It's saying, I'm thinking about giving up on stacking, sell the stack for a half acre of land, then staying out for good. And you know, I just want to address this a little bit.
One big problem is, unless we get a complete change of supposed property ownership laws in these United States, you need to pay property tax. And if you don't pay property tax, the state will seize your property. So you look at the patterns in history, the times that the state and the banking cartel have forced individuals to lose their businesses, lose their homes, lose their farms. Not because they're not in a sound situation, but because at the moment they need to pay their tax. They haven't got the correct amount of currency to pay the tax. So silver, I mean, I've thought about this for 3-4 years, is the perfect way of storing enough just in case it gets really nasty out there, and your state starts to increase your property tax or make it very hard for you to pay your property tax. It's just an insurance policy that's outside of the system that they don't know you've got. So I wouldn't put myself in a position of owning more land or more real estate, but not having a reasonable amount of silver to cover any eventualities to pay the property tax.
And especially because like what we're talking about right now, like we say, is like this is hundreds of years, if not thousands of years of a culmination event happening right now. And and I want to point out too that some states have now made it legal for you to pay your property tax in silver bullion. There's been several states that are working on it, and some have already passed it. And I understand about, sometimes, just who cares about silver and gold, and you're tired of thinking about it and you want to go on your life, and that's fine.
I get it.
Yeah.
Many people quit when we had that rise up to about $26, $27, and it pulled all the way back. A lot of people gave up.
Yeah. It's just I really feel like a lot of people don't quite see what's happening, the big picture of what's taking place, and they're looking at the short-term pricing and thinking, I'm tired of watching it. I just want to I also want to commend you on getting a little bit of land and a cow and that's great. I thought about doing that myself, still might, but I would, like Ian saying, hold on to some silver, some gold, because what's coming, it could just be whether you get to keep that cow on that land or not type of a situation.
Yeah. And it depends on your life expectancy. I mean, heck, none of us know the number of our days, but we're going to go fully digital. There's going to be a whole lot more financial repression, and then that system will break down. And that's the point that silver, gold, copper will become money again, and a sound money system will develop. We're 5 to 15 years away from that total collapse, but it will come.
Yeah.
So if you have a modest expectation that you're going to be around in 5 to 15 years' time, you're going to need those precious metals. Whatever they do in the meantime, the next system, the digital dollar, will collapse, because it will be fiat by nature and it will have to keep expanding, but it will just delay the final collapse and breakdown of civilization.
Yeah, Silverboy Blues, and I'm reading some of your comments too. Yeah, and all that stuff is true, but you got to remember what what's really going on there. It doesn't mean that the element is somehow bad. We're just talking about money, and that's the thing, is gold and silver is real money. And so it's just, it would have been fiat, just it's the same.
At the moment, it's the value store function of money. I heard George Gammon talk about Mike Maloney, because Mike Maloney, has always been, cool currency, cool money. And George Gammon made an excellent point that at the moment, gold and silver can't be money because it's not universally accepted. That's a key feature of money. Yeah. Or it has to be universally accepted. So the dollar is pretty well universally accepted, especially in the US. It's portable, fungible, divisible, durable in the physical form. Obviously, it's not durable, as a store of value, but then that's the final. And for most of us, the most important function is the store of value. If you get to the stage in your life where you earn more than you need to spend or choose to spend, or you want to store that portion of your effort, of your labor, that's a crucial function of money. Now, unfortunately, a large chunk of Americans, I don't know if it's 50 or 60%, are living paycheck to paycheck. So they have no need for the store of value function of money.
Right.
So the dollar as money works very well for them because they don't need that function. Yeah. Because they haven't got anything to store. Right. Yeah. So the system is sort of getting more and more people in, even to the point, well, do you know, even if they've worked it out and understand it, they can't do anything about it.
Right. No, yeah.
Which is tragic, isn't it? I mean, most of them could do something about it if they cut down on the takeaways, don't get coffees out,
that's it.
Keep an old car running instead of buying a new car, cancel the cable subscription.
It's really just doing it. Like, I was in that place when I started where I was like, I got no money, and I remember buying an ounce and thinking, well, I can do one. But I remember at that same time looking at a 10-ounce bar and thinking to myself, I could never get to a 10-ounce bar. But you've got, you buy another ounce, and then you've got, wow, I have 10 ounces here. They're all on single ounces, and I still can't buy that 10-ounce bar. In a year or two, you've got hundreds of ounces because you just keep going and you don't realize, and pretty soon you've got a stack. And
I think if you find a good coin deal, I mean, I've got a handful of small clients who can only buy 1 or 2 ounces at a time.
Yeah.
I give them the 500 ounce or 1,000 ounce rate, and I quite often pay the shipping because they're making the effort.
Yep.
I've got a 75-year-old Vietnam vet, very limited income, and he tries to buy 2 to 3 ounces a month.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yep. And it doesn't sound a lot, but do that for a year, and you've got 36 ounces. Say we get a 10x, that's now 360 ounces of purchasing power.
And because you go from having nothing and being in debt to having a little bit and in debt, and then a little bit more, but pretty soon you're more over here than you are your debt. I mean, it just adds up, and you got to just start is the key. Yep,
for sure.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got a whole bunch of comments here.
I mean, sort of going back to that comment, if you find the dream piece of land and that's going to give you food, it's going to give you possibly income in the future. But, if that deal works out, there's nothing wrong, with doing that. I've got a local client, he saved up, how many? 1,500 ounces of silver over several years. And he's used a lot of it to buy a piece of land and get a house built.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is a means to an end. So, different circumstances. But I have a sense what's coming, there'll be more bargains around. And the things that you really need, or, whether it's land or, developed real estate, compared to your silver, it will get cheaper and cheaper.
Right. Yep.
That silver real estate ratio will correct.
Yeah, that's the thing about this huge culmination event we're talking about, is that there's all of that gaseous fake currency out there, and it will slowly start to come back into real goods. And what will end up being the best real goods for that is gold and silver, because it's the longest lasting without decay, and it retains its value the best. And this event is it's like hundreds of years, and every once in a while they all come creaming back into reality, and that's kind of what's taking place right now. And then real things come back into play that were just not in play before. So yeah, it's and as this starts to take place, there will be, like, the thing that rises the fastest first will be gold, right? Because that's what the first thing to make the move. That's what all the banks are going into. That's what. Yep. So suddenly now we're seeing gold really take off in price, but silver hasn't yet. And, some of the groceries rose a little bit, but not crazy. And my point to this is, as we progress into this hyperinflation type of a thing, there's going to be a lot of people that don't understand where the value problem is. So there's going to be some people that keep taking the currency thinking that they're getting value there, while others are willing to get rid of a lot of their currency, realizing that there's no value there. And so some things will go up in price faster. That's why gold goes up in price faster, because it's the best thing that people are looking for to get out of. So there'll be steps all the way down in those types of things. So it doesn't have to be just gold and silver as well. There's other things that people will go into as well. It's just that gold and silver is kind of something that everybody goes into, and it's the best at it. So it's like, I don't know.
So we've got a question there from 888, the Great. I'm not surprised they didn't lower rates. I think on balance, we're not going to get any rate cuts. We might get rate increases. And on balance, I think the Federal Reserve and the central banks and the Bank of International Settlements that controls them are going to have a controlled or fairly controlled banking crisis worldwide. And that's when worldwide digital currencies will come in.
Yeah,
I think that's the plan.
Yeah, well, I agree.
And that will delay the inevitable collapse of the fiat system because you can slow it right down. Multi-dollar system, so new digital dollar, old dollars that don't transfer in the US, and dollars outside of the US. Some may transfer, some may not, but definitely it will throttle the ability of dollars outside of the US to come to the US and buy anything, because you won't be able to buy anything in the US except using the digital dollar. So I think that's the plan. That's the only way I can see they can delay the final reckoning of this Ponzi fiat expansionary system.
Space Miner has a question here for you. Can we consider the natural occurrence ratio of gold, silver as a timing mechanism as well? Example, if 1-7, then gold moves 7 times quicker. I don't know. That's I don't know. I wouldn't know the quantification on it myself.
Can you? Oh, you got that here. Natural occurrence timing mechanism. I think it's a reckoning point that we will approach that again in the actual. The more and more gold and silver becomes money as a store of value, and gold is well on the way. It's overtaken the euro as a store of reserve. It will overtake the dollar. I don't think we will see a fiat world reserve currency again.
For a while, probably. Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think we will.
Yeah.
Maybe a basket, but so now whether it's answering Space Miner's question or not, I think that natural occurrence 7-1, 8-1. I mean, Isaac Newton presumed it was 15-1 way back. That's why the Western monetary system was based on a 15 or 16-1 ratio. Then I think it went to 20 finally with the US gold, silver and gold coinage. But yes, I think 30-1 is a certainty. 20-1 is a very high probability, and of high probability of getting down to the actual prevalence in the Earth's crust is a good probability. But either way, I think if we're modestly patient, the returns in silver will be way more than gold.
And I agree. And I think we're not even hardly taking into account that while silver starts moving up quickly, industry is going to be chomping at the bit.
They'll be in a panic to get their chunk.
And that's going to might not, like, that could do things, make it shoot further than you might think. I was thinking about, like.
Yeah. I mean, Samsung have had a long agreement with Avino Mines. They take a lot of Avino silver mines, silver production.
And about, like I was talking about earlier, is that, there's so much for secondary market, and then, but behind closed doors, the big people with big money are going to be sucking it out before we get a chance to get to it. And China has supposedly already been doing that with Dore, even before.
They've been taking concentrate straight from mines. Yeah.
So that's as close to the door as you can get it. I mean, they must smell the.
Yeah. I mean, they've been planning and accumulating other metals. I mean, in 2023, they bought 26 tons of rhenium from Chile. That's over half of the whole annual worldwide mine production.
Wow.
Just in 1 year, China in 2023.
and then
their typical purchase per year is 1.8 tons before that.
And of course, we talk about the Shanghai being kind of starting to take over things as well, where there's that premium, I guess you would say, over there constantly $3, $4, $5 depending or was anyway. I haven't checked lately, but
there was a huge difference. Yeah.
Yep.
And that just doesn't make sense, because normally a gap of 5 or 10 cents, you'll get big players or that will take that arbitrage and move millions of dollars worth of metal to make a fraction of a percent. That was part of the reason the migration of gold and silver from London to New York. It was cheaper in London. It was worth the cost of shipping and insuring it to move it. And I think that's partially reversed.
Yeah. So I want to point out, yeah, Broke, I fully agree with you on the chickens and eggs. Yeah, we've been, we get that same thing going where we don't have to pay those outrageous prices. There's organic eggs at our King Supers that are selling for $11.59 a dozen.
That's the premium ones, I guess.
Yeah, that's the premium ones.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting. And like I was talking with other people also, there's something that I watch called the gold or the silver to chicken ratio.
Okay.
And it's been solid for so long now. I soon expect it to blow out. But it's funny that's one indicator that kind of shows you, like I was talking about, those different levels of different things. Eggs is one of those things, and milk, and like there's certain staples that are like really jump up on you suddenly in certain times, and chickens when things start to crunch like this is one, and so that they've been going up with silver pretty steadily, funnily enough. But yeah, all right, well, Ian, we've been an hour now, so that's what we normally do, but maybe we should take some questions from some
yeah, Triple Eight Great has got a good thing about trading the ratios, and also you can apply that when stacking. I think 103, the current ratio, no brainer, buy silver.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, you're paying a higher premium because the minting cost per coin is the same, but you're buying many more coins. You're buying 100 ounces of silver or 1 ounce of gold. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, when you look at it physically, 4 tubes of 25 1 ounce coins, that's quite a stack, or one ounce gold coin. When you look at it visually there, and a lot of people actually, I've noticed, are switching. They're buying gold because they've seen how well it's done, and they just presume that's going to carry on.
Yep.
And the way I look at that, if you've ever been on the freeway, 3-lane, 4-lane, 5-lane, and you keep switching lanes to find the lane that's going faster, it doesn't. You have to do something illegal for it to work. You normally have to go way over and use the turn lane and cut back in.
That's a good analogy.
You know what I mean? You can.
Yeah.
I mean, they did an experiment. So the M25 around London is a 127-mile ring road. It's 127 miles all the way around Greater London. A group of guys thought, one will sit on the left, one will sit in the middle, one will sit in the right lane, and we'll drive till we get back to the beginning again. There was minutes difference.
Yeah.
So, changing lane because you see all gold is moving up. It's human nature. You want to be on the winning, on the winning horse. But silver will do its thing.
Yep. And I want to point out, I agree with Ian on that. And, but you always have to apply things to your own personal place. Like me, I don't have enough gold that I'm going to sell my gold to get into silver, especially since I'm already quite heavy silver in my stack ratio. So I'm just going to hold my gold and buy silver right now instead of gold. So that's how I'm handling it. But you always kind of want to, listen to people what say, but you got to apply it to yourself. And it makes a huge difference on how much money you have and what you're looking to do. And
of course it does. Yeah. I think the only gold that I wouldn't sell, I've got a 2021 Spanish Doublon.
Yeah.
And that was when they minted them after a 200-year break.
Yep.
And I bought 2 of the first 200 that were struck.
That's awesome. I don't have a graded one unlike you do, but I like that series.
with the Iberian links.
Yep, I've got 1 ounce. I got the links.
Yeah,
the first one, and then I have the rest of them in 10th ounce. Except there's a new one, an Eagle this year, and I haven't been able to get a hold of that one yet. But
so I'd probably always try and keep just one of those because that's got the pillar dollar design on it.
Pillar dollar on it. Yep,
goes back 270 years, 280 years. That pillar dollar, at least.
Yeah, that's amazing. You were the one that pointed out that our dollar sign comes from that pillar dollar, the ribbon coming around the pillar or whatever that is. That's very cool to know, and that shows you where our real money is and what it is, and But yeah.
So yeah, I would encourage, can't advise, although I do sometimes. Think carefully before dumping all of your silver.
Yeah. Yep. Or gold if you have any, for that matter. All right, cool. Well, that was a good one, Ian. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll do it again next time. Everybody out there in chat, greatly appreciate you hanging out with us and bringing up some questions and saying hello. So we will be back soon with another one. All right, thanks, guys.